Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser. I'm brought to you by our friends at Reckless Coffee Roasters, which is in Grumpy as always on a Monday. What's going on, Matush?
Not as grumpy. I can't imagine you're as grumpy as you could be though, given the results of yesterday.
No. It was like an excellent weekend, actually. Really good Easter weekend. Obviously, result wise, and then the girls were back and stuff like that at home, so had some family time and all that good stuff as well. People are gathering around. Good morning, everybody, and most importantly, happy freaking Dingus Day, dude!
Happy Dingus Day. I already got the wife, so I'm good to go.
You already got what?
The wife. I already sprayed her with water this morning.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
so
know. I don't know
I
why.
did a little. I did a. Okay, this is gonna like I knew. First of all, has it been 1 year? Is this the anniversary of the Dingus Day show where we talked about Dingus?
Yes.
Has it been? Is that okay?
Yes.
And I'll be
Wow.
honest,
That
I tried to
flew
go
by.
back and find that episode, and I could not for some reason.
You
I
couldn't
was
find April 1st, 2023?
it does. I couldn't find it by date. It goes by like a year ago, so you have to sift
Interesting.
through like 2 months worth of stuff, and Cersei says just woke up from watching the City Arsenal game. Yeah, that was a tough watch, but it was enjoyable at the same time. But no, so I did try to go back and find footage from that, but I couldn't find the episode. But I was like, oh, it's Dingus Day. So I did a little, very small scale research of my own. Because somehow we have some weird Polish connections at home. Jasmine's boyfriend, like a longtime boyfriend, has Polish heritage. Last name is something icky. Washneski, something like that, right?
Okay.
See, so this is Happy Dingus Day. This is gonna be the biggest Dingus Day of all time. And I was like, hey, I told Jazz, I'm like, hey, ask Ryan what he does for Dingus Day. And first of all, she thought I was screwing around. She's like, what the hell is that? You're just making shit up, because I always make shit up just to get under their skin at home.
Coming from the man that hates April Fool's Day, you hate making shit up. That's rich.
Yes, I'm known for like making shit up. We used to go like when we were like when they were like little, we used to go to zoos and stuff a lot. And I would make up random stupid facts about animals in the documentary voice, like, can eat up to like 8 pounds of lettuce a day and stuff like
I
that.
could just imagine her going off to college and then not making any friends because everyone looks at her as the weird girl that knows all these animal facts that aren't true. And they're like, what is the point of this person?
She knows so much about animals. Um, but yeah, so they don't do anything for Dingus Day. He made it sound like his grandparents might be, but they don't do a whole lot. They are Italian Polish, to be fair, so they're kind of like a blend.
Not real.
Not fake, fake Polish. So okay, what is apart from spraying people with water?
So, it traditionally began as a tradition where younger boys would go around and then they would spray water on younger girls that Monday after Easter, just as sort of like a not really a hey I like you, but this is just the tradition of what the Poles do, and it has evolved into just pretty much just, at least from my life, is just spraying people with water whenever you get the chance. So like I came home one day from school because it was the Monday after Easter. I came home from school and I couldn't open the door to the front house because usually I didn't have a key. I think it was middle school. And so I was knocking on the door waiting for my mom to open it. And then she came up from behind and dumped a bucket of water on me, welcoming me back. Just so that's, it's part of the fun. You don't go too extreme because, like, if I were to dump a bucket of water on my wife this morning while she was still sleeping, I would not be on the show. I don't think you'd be able to get a hold of me for a while. So it was just a little like I grabbed some water from the sink and I went like that kind of deal. So that was that this morning. But yeah, it's sort of a silly little
Does that
tradition.
have anything to do with April Fool's Day, or they're totally independent?
No, I think April Fool's is an American thing, though. Or am I
Oh, is
wrong?
it really?
I don't know. I could be wrong. I really don't
You
know.
got me thinking. No, there's April Fool's back home. There's April Fool's in Turkey. I can't remember if there was in UK.
Oh yeah, because there's pretty much.
Sparky or Cersei and stuff. Alan, they should tell us if there is in UK. I know there's in Turkey.
There is in Poland too. It's called Prima Aprilis. I forgot.
But they're totally independent. But Dingus Day is not a religious thing either. So that's why I was like, maybe it is like somehow related to like April Fools or something like that. So Sir Z says, my kids thought up until 9 years old that a magical camel would drop their eat presents off in the morning.
I
So
love
is that
that.
like a Santa kind of a concept? Is that an actual concept, or is that only like the Sir Z household? Yes, they do have April Fools. We were actually talking right before we went on air. I find it like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when you're younger, like in school and stuff like that, it's cool. Now it's just like more of like an annoyance than anything else when people try to make like lame April Fools, especially when media tries to get into it. Like on the internet, dude, half the news you guys put out is bullshit and rumors. So the April Fool's Day has lost its
It
every
doesn't.
day. It's April Fool's Day with you guys, so it really loses its touch.
It
With
doesn't click. Yeah, I feel like a right idiot looking at this list of all the nations that celebrate, that observe, that participate in April Fool's Day. Like that's my ignorance showing right there. That's for sure.
I couldn't tell you the last time I did an April Fool's, like planned and executed an April Fool's. It could go back decades. First of all, I screw around with people all the time, and then if it happens to be an April Fool's, I'm like April Fool's, but nothing specially designed for the day that I've done.
I think the worst ones are always obviously when death is involved or pregnancy is involved, so stuff like that. I think it's such a waste.
Waste.
Yeah, I mean it's not a great thing to joke about usually, and especially on something like April Fools. But that's whatever.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's like tasteless April Fools over
Yeah.
there. But yeah, happy April Fool's Day. But most importantly, happy Dingus Day to all. Go spray women with some water. That's
You
not
can
sound
just do it
right
to your
at all.
family now. It's
Oh,
just
it's only family you can spray. You can't just spray random women with
no.
hoses.
I'm saying doing it now. Just do it to your family now. Don't make it weird. All right.
Hey, if you wanted to, get under the skin of your wife, which I regularly do and I do successfully, just go spray some water, and if they, give you an attitude, you're like, "Hey, happy Dingus Day, honey," and then just walk off. Done. I will do this after the show. Just grab a bucket and see how Angie reacts.
I would love to see this.
I may not be here for Wednesday's show, so you never know. So let's get to the weekend. Really good weekend. So full disclosure, I did set the alarm for 7:10 for that was yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday's game. And right before I went to bed, so I'm so smart, I'm like, oh shit, forgot to change the alarm. So I changed the alarm, but I changed the alarm that I set for this show, which is normally at 8:10. So that all the makeup artists and everybody does their thing, so I can appear on the show at 9:00. And most importantly, I go make the coffee. But so I changed that freaking alarm. So that's only Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So long story short, my body basically wakes me up around 8:15 because it's just like used to it. I wake up and I knew the room was way too bright for my liking for a 7:10 wake up. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I look and it was like 8:15 and I had a notification of, first of all, I was like, oh, fuck. And then you swipe, I get the notification of like Brighton 1, Liverpool 0. I was like, oh, fuck.
You get punched from both sides.
Missed the first 20 minutes. So I think like when I tuned in, Mo had just like went over the bar with the shot, so it was like 18th minute or so. Just the unlucky starts because it didn't sound like, and I watched afterwards. I went back and watched. It seemed like we started fine. It's not like we started slow. They just happened to get a goal early.
It was an unfortunate game of pinball in the box that didn't go our way. And Welbeck's shot, credit to him. I mean, it was a hell of a strike to put that in that corner, that top corner, because he could take that shot another 10 times and he might hit the same target another 2 times potentially, depending on. I think he'll hit the goal more times than not, but I don't think he'll hit that top corner every single time like he did. Yeah. So I think it was a combination of just unfortunate pinball and just a really good finish from a seasoned veteran of the game. I mean, Welbeck's been around for ages. You know, he won a
Yeah,
title.
good points,
He
because he's been around for ages. Let me pull it up.
just say this: he won a title with Manchester United. That's how
Oh, did he really?
old he
Was
has
it
to
like
be.
16?
It was in the 12-13 season, did he not?
I'm looking at it. He's 33 years old. Honestly, kudos to him. He doesn't look a day older than 29. I'll give him that. Let's see. I don't see him as a. Oh, yes. Premier League 12-13. Good job, man. Couple of cups and stuff. FIFA Club World Cup. Damn, the guy has been around forever. Yeah, I didn't realize he was that old. I really did not.
Yeah, he doesn't seem he seems like he's in that 25 to 28-year-old
Yeah.
range, right? But then the weird thing is he would have had to be like that forever, because I remember telling myself, "Oh, he's like 25 to 28 5 years ago." Like, so yeah, he just never ages. But Adingra on that left side, especially in the first 20-25 minutes, was causing a lot of problems. But I think once it was really interesting watching Bradley go so forward and Adingra having to track him back that way, and then watching Bradley then having to track Adingra going back the other way, and it was just sort of almost a basketball matchup between those two, where they just went end to end the entire time,
Yes.
and everyone else was like,
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the beginning the rest of the first half too, really. Like, we really struggled on that wing. I mean, I blame Trent personally.
we know.
And his poor defending. But yeah, I mean, we were struggling, and I was very confused with the midfield lineup. You're used to mostly having Szoboszlai there, but you had McAllister on the right hand side a lot more. But they would keep switching back and forth as well. I don't know if that was just to cause the confusion, or during the press we were running all over the place, so they ended up naturally switching sometimes too. I don't know how many of those were like by design, but yeah, I mean, I felt the right wing was going to cost us more in the first half, and then not as much in the second half. It's almost like we figured it out. I don't know. I mean, what do you give that to? Like, is it adjustments that maybe like we do not clearly see, but the ball is not going there as much, or Bradley kind of adjusting his game?
I think, part of it takes some time to feel out who you're going up against. And someone like Adingra, Bradley's never gone up against someone like that yet, I think. There have been some matchups, but Adingra, he's so quick, and he's such a shifty player, and he's so good on the ball that I think as a defender, it just takes a moment or two to really understand the movement and kind of to better guess. Because you're not always going to know, but you can guess a little better as to what he's going to do. And I think we mentioned it in the Discord. I think Sobo having a much better second half really did help out the right side too, because it took a bit of that pressure off. And so I think because they were getting so moved around in the first half, and like you were saying, where it felt like we didn't really know whether they're playing on the left or right, because the press seemed like they were getting them all over the place, where the second half felt much more contained. And I think that overall helped the entire.
Most I switched full look like the second half, and he was not going left.
Yeah,
and I honestly feel it helps him more attacking wise as well. But he did have like a really, really solid second half defensively, work rate wise. I mean, it was more like the Szoboszlai we saw in the beginning, and we were like, oh, now we can see why
Stevie G.
This guy. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Because he was like everywhere, he was sprinting and stuff like that. I still think he at times defends like an attacker, if that makes sense, where he's more looking for it's almost like, like in football, like a cornerback who tries to get the picks, but not really defends. So sometimes they can whiff and give up a touchdown. That's what it reminds me of. Like, he'll try to gamble sometimes, and he can cost. It has cost us a few goals in the past, but his defensive work rate was like immense. So that really helped the second half. We were talking about in the post match with Kazi and Sir Z. How we closed the game was so weird, because first we were ultra careful, and then we were ultra careless. Like, for 10 minutes, we were like, okay, we're just going to keep the ball, which I'm not as okay with, but I can understand, at least, especially when done well. But then at the end, it was like we were playing like we were a goal down. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we so empty in the back?
And the weirdest thing is that it was Gomez,
Yeah.
one of the best veterans on the team, and understanding kind of the best game situation awareness on the team. And at that moment, it was like nothing was going through his head besides maybe this is my chance to score a goal kind of deal. So I don't know if that was getting to him because he just really wanted to get forward. But yeah, it was bizarre, especially both times he tried to take the ball up for practically no reason. So that was a very uncharacteristic ending. But at the end of the day, not every match is going to be as perfectly smooth 100% as you want it to be, and as long as you can come out with the 3 points, it's huge. So
Cyrus says we can win the trophy if club refrain from all the silly stuff. If anything, honestly, I thought the substitutions came a little too late.
Yeah, there wasn't one until like the 81st,
81st minute. I thought it was too late. And Sparky says, because Jones didn't play, he picks Gakpo as the culprit. And you know what, though? I will give Sparky this. I mean, there was a time where I was literally screaming at the TV, dude, you just freaking came on. You're going to play a max of 10 minutes. You better be sprinting. There's no reason for you to conserve any kind of energy whatsoever. Yeah. You better be sprinting and pressing, not just jogging from one guy to the other. That was just very annoying. So I'll definitely give Sparky that, because I know I was extremely frustrated with them as well. I don't think they thought a 2-1 lead against Brighton was enough, given that Brighton never stops attacking. Honestly, like, I don't know if he caught this, but Klopp was talking about this in the post-match, that he was talking about the crowd and how good the crowd was and stuff, and he was talking about, and I don't know, see, I worry as a lifestyle, so I'm not there at all, but he was talking about how Anfield has changed over the years, where a 1-0 leads used to make everybody nervous, but we've controlled games so well over the last 3-4 seasons that people, like, the stadium is not as nervy as it would be 4 or 5 years ago. I agree to that. But having said that, are you as nervy as you would be 4 or 5 years ago when we have a 1-goal lead?
Weirdly enough, I think I'm just more nervous now. I don't know if it's because of the weight of this being Klopp's final year and how badly I want everything to go our way. So I don't think that's a fair answer to that, because there are other factors that are making my decision the way it is, not necessarily the play on the field, but just what I want to see happen. And so I think, and another thing is just seeing how frustrating and how poor we can be at counterattacking when you have the numbers on your side, to think about wasteful opportunities and then giving up a late goal that hurts more. Whereas 4 or 5 years ago, we could still have a counter and I felt absolutely fine, like knowing that there's a good chance the ball's going to be in the back of the net. But having a counter now doesn't feel the same. So if you're taking a lot of pressure, it's not going to be relieved, then you feel a bit weird.
That's a good point, actually. Stadium might not be nervy. Club needs to see our Discord channel, says Cersei. Yes, it is pretty tense in there.
Speaking, I was just really quick on that. I was because I was at the in-laws yesterday, and so I recorded the game and just had my phone on silent or on airplane mode or whatever it was, and then I went in after the game and I went onto Discord, and you guys, this is what happens on the Discord: 624 new messages from 8:02 a.m. I screenshot it and I read through it all, because I was like, I wonder what everyone's talking about. And so,
holy cow, are you serious? That's like, you know what? I'll watch the game later. I'm just gonna read this.
So I watched the whole game, and then I went in there, saw all the comments, like, all right, let's see what everyone said. I was like, I wonder what they were thinking when I was thinking this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I say, I woke up and I was like, oh shit. So I go into it and kind of like trying to base it off of the comments. I even asked, like, hey, is it as bad as the score is? Did we just a slow start? And it really was not. But I think I am always going to be nervous with a 1-goal lead. I do feel, though, that we had, I mean, I don't know, because we had a more established back four. I mean, you had you look at your back four yesterday. That's definitely, we have one guy in that back five that puts goalie in there as well. You only have one guy that if I asked you in the beginning of the season and said, hey, give our lineup against Brighton on this week, you only have Van Dijk in there. You don't have any of the other guys. So that's maybe helps to being nervous, but I'm just kidding myself. I'd be nervous either way. I think if we're up by one. But there are times where we have really controlled the ball where like nobody's even close to the guy with the ball. Like we're moving it so fast and so easily, and we, seconds are ticking. We're like, oh, great. But you are right about that. And then, like, what is it more taken for granted that people think like the conversion of the counterattacks? Is it really less or does it look less? Like, are we getting less chances or are we less effective with them?
That's a good question because I don't know. I would have to look into the actual numbers to see what it's like, but maybe it just feels that way because of the big glaring moments of the counterattacks that we've seen. The 5-on-2 in Arsenal, the 4-on-1 against United, or whatever it is. Yesterday there were a couple of moments where it just feels like, and the final third especially, it just feels like we're missing the right mentality for that final ball. We kind of keep waiting an extra second too long to make the pass, and I think that's been hurting the end product a lot. So maybe it's just more so, again, part of the building stress of making sure this season goes as perfectly as possible. Obviously, getting out of the FA Cup doesn't help the perfect scenario. There's still a league to play for, still Europa to play for. So, but there's always, I think, the nervous building of wanting to make sure everything goes well.
Yeah, I think, like I agree with Serzi too. Like going a goal down, it felt like it was coming. Like I say, even though I tuned in late, it felt like it was coming. But I will tell you this, it also felt like they could get a second on a counter. Like just because it's Brighton, I think just because of the players they have. And when I honestly thought, and I think Rich or somebody said it in the comments too, that they were going to just screw up trying to build from the back. But kudos to them. I mean, yeah, they did sometimes, it was a throw when they lost the ball or whatever, but they never made that mistake. I thought they were going to make a mistake where we're just going to win it in counter press and it was going to be a 3-on-1 and we were going to score kind of a thing. And this is right too. Nervousness gets worse the bigger, the closer the prizes. I can agree to that. But I did feel, I think it was around the 20th or 25th. And I think maybe that's why I asked everybody. The crowd was getting kind of antsy that, we were kind of like it was a slow build-up moment. You can tell like Anfield getting like impatient, like kind of like wanting to drive faster and stuff like that. But they keep trying to find the perfect pass instead of just going for it. I'll be honest, here's another thing. Like, I know I've heard Klopp say this at least 5-6 times this year in the post-match about how we have to tell the boys, like as he says, at halftime, to slow and calm the fuck down is what it sounds like. Like we're just trying to take our chances too early, taking one less touch. Like I think he almost referred to the one that Mo had in the first half. Like normally if he takes one more touch, he's going to get it on the foot the way he wants it and he's going to probably like bury it. But is it because this team is in some ways like you don't have the maturity or calmness of Bobby, Mo, Mane trio up there, and then behind it you have a younger or a newer midfield? But it's a totally new midfield.
Yeah.
Is it just the newness, or is it kind of like maybe Sparky is saying they are nervous as well as the prize gets closer?
It's not the newness, it's the Nunez. He's the problem. No.
Thank you, everybody.
My job here is done. See you next week. I think there's probably a level to some truth to both of those things. There were definitely, we think back to Mane, Firmino, and Mo, even at their best, there were moments where they wanted more from each other. And there were times where they didn't make the pass that they probably should have to one another. And so I think, especially as you try and form these new relationships, Diaz and Mo might be, Diaz and Nunez might be looking at Mo going, all right, well, he's the one that's going to take every chance he gets because he maybe, he's earned it and he's here. He's the talisman. He is the head guy. And so maybe they are trying to make up for that by themselves in the sense of, well, I have to try and get my own opportunity because I don't know if Mo is going to give me the opportunity. when in reality Mo is making a lot of good passes. I mean, it's a give and take kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be some more time, and I don't know where else to go with it, other than I think sometimes with Klopp saying, they need to slow it down. Sometimes they slow it down too much. Like some of those counterattacks, you wait too long. And I think Brian was saying they keep trying to find the perfect opportunity instead of just going for it. And sometimes you can't think too much. We have to do less of the overthinking. Kind of when we talk about Nunez, a lot of the times is if he doesn't have a lot of time to think, he just instinctually goes for it and it works. And that's kind of at the end of the day, this is just football, right? I mean, you make the pass and you go, or you don't have to make it more difficult than it has to be. I think it was Cruyff. I think he was saying that it's a simple game, right? That you can make more difficult, but you don't need to.
Because, I mean, I know we play against wingers, right? Where they get the ball out wide, they try to isolate, I mean, whether it's like Trent or Robertson or whatever, and they really go at him, right? You're like, holy cow, like the center back has to slide over and stuff like that. I think Diaz is probably the only player that I can kind of see more, and he does play like street ball. It just feels like he just gets it and goes sometimes. But the flip side of that is you got to pick your moments, like you said. Do that when we're countering and when we have the numbers, but not when we're sitting down. I almost feel like Nunez. I don't know what it is. It's just sounding like real weird. Like watching him yesterday, for example, it was just like, just release the ball, dude. Like, release the ball, make a run, be on the move. That's when you're most dangerous. Like him taking the ball, going left, facing the guy up, waiting for 3 seconds is not doing anybody any good. Him running left is doing people good because it does create space and it moves people around. But you got to move the ball again, move the ball fast. And I think, you see the second goal, it comes from a ball that's moving really fast between those passes and suddenly moves wide open. It's almost like it's the same struggles. And I think, is it he was trying to copy Diaz's, Brian? Yes, because like Diaz sometimes does that as well. It's just like, dude, just release the ball. Like you did your bits, release the ball. Having said that, though, he was probably the most dangerous guy yesterday. Every time he got the ball, he was the only one. Like I don't see Mo. Mo is looking more for the pass now and having people move off of him as opposed to really taking people on himself. Looks like.
Yeah, I think we're getting to that point where, yes, obviously he still has the pace, but I just don't think he has the shiftiness, and not saying he's slow by any means, because obviously he's not, but he just doesn't have that first step that he did, several years ago when he would take anyone off the dribble he wanted to. Now he's not looking for that, like you're saying. He's looking to make the pass first, if anything, or he's looking just to cut in. So yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought they created a lot of chances. And, I mean, if as a neutral, that was probably a really fun game to watch just because of how both teams play and they both want to attack and stuff like that. But, I mean, we did create a lot of chances. A lot of it is coming from Mac right now. I just hope that when we get Trent back, we still use Mac and like kind of split the load instead of Mac saying, okay, Trent is here now, here. You create kind of a thing, because I think that's when we can be really dangerous, when we have two people who's looking to do that through ball up the middle.
He has such good technical ability and he has such good IQ, and I'm just so excited to have, we're talking about this might sound weird, talking about Sobo being the next Gerrard in that sense early in the year, but Mac's the one with the vision, the one that's box to box, right? Like he's more like Stevie G than Sobo is. I think it was just, Sobo had the tattoo and the number and all this, and we're just thinking he can hit it from long range, blah, blah, blah. But in the actual play, with the IQ, with the effort, with everything, I mean, McAllister's just brilliant. I think, obviously his pass to Mo was great, but him being able to control that pass from Szoboszlai that calmly, because that was a rocket. Like it felt like,
even said it came a little too fast.
Yeah, I don't even know if Szoboszlai was really intending it to go to McAllister. He might have just mishit it because he was trying to hit it into the box or something. But yeah, it's just so impressive to watch and to have someone so technically gifted, but also so intelligent with the ball. Because you could have a really technically gifted player that only sees things here, but he's
Yeah.
a very technically gifted player that sees things here.
Yeah, I mean he has been immense the last like month or so, and I think he's become more important ever since Trent is gone as well. In terms of, I mean, he is the one that we look to create. He's everything that Thiago should have been. I keep saying basically when we got him in, but Sparky says Brighton always had two players on the ads yesterday, and I feel that's mainly because Mo is, I mean, this might be not on Mo. This might be like what is asked of him to do as well. But I feel like Mo is a lot more out wide and not really going at people as much, which allows the defense to kind of almost shift it the other way. But I think in the long run, that's something that can be beneficial, having two guys on each wing that's you're going to have somebody worry about. Hence, you get that opening in the middle suddenly because you had McNumbers, and obviously they're going to be stretched out a lot wider and stuff. But
that was the problem, I think, for the last couple years when we had Mo. We tried to push Mo more out wide, but even though we had the space in the middle, there wasn't any way to get to the middle because there just wasn't the quality to get there. So especially now with the likes of McAllister being able to operate that space, like you said, it opens up that part of the field so much more. Because you can actually utilize it. It's not just something that's being shifted between Hendo and Fab, because they were great at what they did, but that wasn't where their strengths were. And if you have someone that has the strengths of cutting up that space there, then you can open up the pitch so much more.
Brian says, careful saying Thiago too many times. Anand will appear. We have problem having Anand appear on Friday mornings, leave alone just randomly appear on a morning. But maybe if you do say Thiago and Nunez, you got to say two back to back like 3 times, and then he's like a genie. Are you guys worried about De Zerbi not committing to his future with Brighton? Yes. Let's skip to that.
Yay.
I know. I'm sure Kazi isn't because he definitely doesn't want him. But yeah, where are you at with that? Do you... Like he clearly said, basically, this doesn't look like it's happening, kind of a thing. So you can almost put the fact that he's going to be gone. Because I look at Brighton yesterday, and the biggest thing with Brighton is, I would have a heart attack weekly if he built that much from the back that way. But at the same time, if he can do it with Brighton and dunk, could he do it even better with better players?
He probably could. And yeah, I think he is a good manager. I don't think he is the Liverpool manager though. It's just this weird feeling that it just doesn't fit. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't seem right. When someone mentioned when Klopp was first being mentioned many years ago, like, oh yeah, like I can actually see that. For some reason, you mentioned De Zerbi, and I'm like, I just don't see it. And that's no knock
like
on
a temperament style. Like, what is it?
I don't know what it is. I wish I could say what it is, because there would be something something more concise to say other than I just don't see it, because that's not a good excuse. But for some reason, all credit to him as a manager, because I think he is a good manager, but I think Brian said that Barcelona could be there. I think if Real was looking, they might look that direction too. I think he might also be like an Inter Milan kind of guy as well, potentially. So not that Inter's getting rid of their manager anytime soon, but he just, for some reason, it just doesn't fit for me.
I mean, here's the thing, right? I mean, I can see him. He fits Manchester City better, in my opinion, says Serzi. I don't know. Like, is the Manchester City job a really attractive job right now with what's looming in the background? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I take that and put that on my, like, I got to watch these clubs kind of a thing. There's a lot of, like, really top openings this year. So, Bayern is still open, right? Barcelona. I don't know what's going to be open in Italy or what is open. I really don't follow Serie A very closely, but
Watford's always open.
Watford is always open. United could be open. So there are like other jobs in there, and I almost feel like probably for a team like United, that's not a good thing, because you are going to get probably leftovers. It's not just because there's 2-3 top guys, right, that they might get to pick the job they go to. So they're not going to pick a situation like that over Barcelona or Bayern and stuff like that. So
I was going to say,
would be open.
Could you see Chelsea? That was going to be my question before Sir Z had it.
Really? I don't think Chelsea is going to open. I think Pochettino sticks it out, and then he'll be gone like next October or something.
I want to believe Bowley when he says that he's actually going to give the managers a chance, but I think Anand said it yesterday. It was really funny, or it was on Saturday, because I had said something about drawing to 10 men Burnley is a pretty sackable offense, and I think Anand said everything that Poch has done with Chelsea has been a sackable offense. I thought it was pretty good. But I think this especially, how do you draw at home against the 10 men Burnley? It just I don't know. That's crazy to me.
It is a big match. And I honestly thought in the beginning of the year, let's not go back to predictions, but I really thought he would be the guy that kind of like calms the ship and gets everybody sorted, because they had like 50 people on this roster or whatever, kind of like come up with this theme and stuff. But he has not been able. It's almost like we're in freaking April and he's still like, how about this guy on the wing? Like, trying to like do different things. And everybody has injuries, so injuries is not really like an excuse at this point. I mean, look at the injuries we've had. Look at the injuries City has had, United, Arsenal probably. I mean, Arsenal, I guess, lost Timber like the whole season by in the beginning and stuff too. So everybody has had injuries, and especially with a deep squad like he has at Chelsea, injuries should not be an excuse. But he's the Argentinian Rodgers is a good analogy. Could be. Liverpool is the most appealing of all top jobs due to no background bullshit and the academy.
I disagree.
Which one do you think? I'm not going to tip my hand here.
I don't think it's the most appealing. I think you are trying to follow the footsteps of the most beloved manager of the last 30 years. You really think that's going to be an appealing job? I don't think so. I think there's going to be so much pressure to go into those footsteps. And I think, as a fan base, we are much more, I guess, understanding. We're much more patient with managers. I think Kazi was saying that. I think he said something about having 8 managers for the last 30 years or something like that, as opposed to United having, not United. I can't remember what he said exactly. But at any rate, you can't put the Klopp factor aside. He is Liverpool. That's part of the whole thing. When you think of Liverpool over the last 8 years, you think Klopp, right? You might think of certain players here and there, but he was the embodiment of this club. Fans were saying he is this club. Yeah. There were fans that you couldn't say Klopp did anything wrong ever. Like, let's say he made one bad sub. There was no chance you could say that, because you're going to get just roasted for even thinking that he could have made any mistakes.
How dare you?
To think that you can set aside the Klopp factor, that's not true. I mean, it's just not. And I think it's one of those things. It's sort of, like here in the States, in Chicago, there's that Michael Jordan shadow over the Bulls. And it's been talked about how there's some star players that won't want to come here because there's that little bit of that feeling of, hey, I'm never gonna live up to that, and it's just
because you're never gonna be you. You're gonna be the next Jordan.
You're gonna be yes. You can't be yourself. I mean, you could potentially be yourself if you get to a point where you get those accolades, and we can sit back and talk about that and think about that. But until then, you are Klopp's successor. Everything you're gonna do is being compared to Klopp, and you just. You can be a completely different person, completely different style of play, completely different everything, but you have to be like Klopp or else kind of deal.
And I think, I don't know, like most fans, if not all fans right now, if I came to you, like anybody in the audience right now, if I came to you guys and said, hey, Klopp stays, but you got to sacrifice Van Dijk, or like, I'm going to take one player, I think we would all be like, yeah, that's fine. take, we'll
We'll
keep
take the
Pop.
one.
You take that guy because we'll probably replace him. Not a lot of clubs, not a lot of managers would be able to say that. I mean, because that's another, you know, because we almost feel like he can get somebody else to fill that role. It's him. It's not the players, kind of a thing. I mean, obviously it's the players. He's not doing it himself.
Right.
He has top players in the world. But yeah, I mean, that's like the big issue. And I think that is hard to take away. But at the same time, as somebody taking over the job, do you look at the situation you're walking into as well? So Cersei says the new manager does not need to change anything, just be a new voice with a similar outlook in life. Most important for new managers comes to the city. See, the problem with that is all these, I mean, when you get a guy who's a manager, who has experience, who's done his thing the way he has done it, he's not going to be like, Goto says he actually made Joe Allen good. Hey, the Walsh Pearl. So, I mean, I think, where was I going with this? Like a new manager is going to come in and they're going to put their own stamp. Nobody with this kind of especially anybody we bring in who has a resume, they're not going to be like, oh, this looks pretty good over here, I'll go with that. You don't bring like a top chef in and he looks at the Paul Turk restaurant menu and be like, well, you guys got pretty good shit over here, and then keep doing it. He's going to be like, I'm going to put a little bit of parsley on top or whatever. You know what I mean? They're going to do their own thing and they're going to add their own touch because they have their own style that they feel like it brought him here one way or the other. So I think nobody is going to come in and just be like a caretaker, because then that's what an interim manager is. That's all they're doing basically is cruise control, hold the wheel, and then let us know when we get there. That's what an interim manager does, but needs to get the fans and the city. I'll be honest, that's time though. Nobody is going to walk in the first day and do that. You got to see the progress. But I think they're coming to a city that will be. See, it goes back to what you're saying though, Mateusz. They're coming to a city that is going to be more patient, but that is used to club, and everything is going to be compared to club. But if you're the guy looking at the job openings, would you rather do the follow club, see if I can come out of the shadow thing, or go to United or Bayern or whatever, where you have to deal with some drama and cleanup?
Yeah, good thing I'm not the manager and I don't have to make this decision. I just don't think it's as easy as, take this. I think Cersei is saying he doesn't need to change anything. Well, I mean, if that was the case, you could just throw anyone in there and be like, yeah, okay, guys, do what you've been done. What were the drills you guys were running in training? Okay, just keep doing that. And then I'll just make sure everyone's happy. But I think if it is me, I'd probably lean, if we're talking about this summer, I'd probably lean for something like Barcelona or Bayern or Liverpool, because there has been a little bit of turmoil there, and you could be, rather than be the guy that brings everything down a level, you bring everything up a level. So you go to Liverpool, you have a rough first 2 years, you bring everything down a level. You go to Bayern or Barcelona, Bayern, who just lost the Bundesliga for the first time in my lifetime, pretty much. You bring them back up to the Bundesliga to win the Bundesliga. That's a lot easier. Barcelona, that's a lot easier. I mean, not easier, but it's less stressful in the sense that you can bring them up rather than bring them down. But I understand that they're not the best teams to work for.
Yeah, see, like this is like a different industry altogether, though, and I think that's like in sports. It's not only on soccer. Like you see it over here too. I mean, I don't know. Like when I was in management, a couple of times I was thrown into a situation where the only way is up, if you will, right? And there is something to be said about that in terms of like it's a bit easier in that sense because it doesn't get any fucking worse than this. But you come in with your system, you do things, you get it cleaned up and stuff. But in sports, you can, how many times have we seen a manager come in, or over here in the States, a coach come in, kind of do the initial cleanup, right? But then can't get success because they're doing cleanup. So they're cleaning the back room but the front looks like shit. So once they organize the back room, they come up to the front. They're like, "Yeah, sorry about that. We're gonna have to let you go." New guy comes in, everything is already cleaned up. He gets all the glory because now he's winning because of what the
Sure.
other guy did. Whereas that's like, in sports that happens a lot more. It doesn't happen in a lot of other businesses where people see all the other progress. There are all these other reports. There's like, whereas it's not as tangible in sports where I got rid of the cancer in the locker room and stuff like that. You can't, quantify those things. That's why as a manager, I would be, Goda says you look very mature for 11.
13 years, I think, then was the last time they lost. 20 years, whatever it was.
The manager cannot be my way or the highway. Like Marino needs to put their own stamp on it, but the one with the city on the cup. And I do agree with that. I mean, I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, you are not going to get a manager and be like, "Oh, looks like everything is good over." I mean, he's not going to get in the press conference and be like, "Pretty good over here. A lot of good kids and stuff. We'll just keep going."
He doesn't want to be Klopp, right? Whoever's coming in, it's not so easy as saying just do what everything's been done. The players are here, the model is here. There's a reason that you have become successful in your own right. You're not going to go somewhere just to be second fiddle in the names of everyone in the city. It's like, oh yeah, he's fine. He's not Klopp. You don't want to be that.
He's the same guy, just not him. Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to come and say, if you want to win the city too, you don't win the city by saying, I'm just here to have fun. Things look good over here. But at the same time, you look at other clubs. Okay, like they might be able to get whoever they want. Bayern can say, okay, well, you know what? This guy cost us the title, so let's buy him. Buy everybody in Bundesliga, and then keep going. And then, Barcelona, I honestly don't know if like what the issues in Barcelona are. I don't follow it very closely. I normally don't follow La Liga very closely, except Arda is in Real now, so I wouldn't see like if he ever comes in for him or whatever. But the one thing that he would have in Liverpool, a new manager, is you really don't have anybody to get rid of. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have a problem to solve, if that makes sense.
Because the back room is what was just cleaned up, if you will. Or just a fresh slate. So everything you're going into.
Come up front, change a couple of displays,
Yeah, so then wouldn't you say that if everything is good to go in the back room and everything's good to go in the front room because the players are there, isn't that adding more pressure then to then succeed if there's nothing to really fix?
I think it's almost, I mean, hey, I don't care about the new manager having pressure. If we win everything, sucks to be them. But yeah, that's probably even more pressure following that, right? There's no next step to take it to. Obviously, there'll be Champions League and stuff like that. But I think Liverpool know who they want. And like the Liverpool way, deal will be done before anything is announced. I think so too. I agree to that. I think, but who is that? I mean, I guess that's the question.
Graham Potter.
Southgate.
I
mean, who is that? That's or okay. Let me ask you and everybody else this: would you guys be okay if it's like Fernando Fernandez is my latest guy with the catchy name, somebody you haven't heard of, but Edwards is really big on him. He's going to come. I just said out notes either, but Southgate gets to play. Gordon says, I give up if it was Gareth. I think we would all give up. Would we just take a leave of absence for a couple of seasons and then come back if it's Gareth?
We would have to. We would absolutely have to. It'd be horrendous. But but a lot of people might get their wish with Trent in the midfield.
Wouldn't surprise me if it was Pepsi Sparky.
Pep Linders, I imagine.
Yeah, Kazi was like, I'll take Guardiola. There's nothing to fix other than what you for Trenton and having Salah BVD buying into him. But those are not like, I mean, that's anywhere you're going to go as a manager, you have to earn the respect of the staff, if you will.
Yeah.
That's a constant wherever you go. It's a lot easier when you go into a smoother atmosphere to earn that, as opposed to where you go in to a place where, I mean, like where they've been getting rid of, I took over a place one time where they were getting rid of managers like once a year. There was a new manager getting there once a year. So when you come in there as the new guy and you say this is how it's gonna go, everybody's like, yeah, we've heard this before. And then it takes a couple of months before they're like, oh shit,
this one's for real this time.
Yeah. But whenever you're a manager and you go in, you have to earn the respect of everybody. Anyway, it's a bit easier when obviously the club has that, the system established like Liverpool does. And you don't have any really trouble people in the, in the staff, if you will. There are no cancers, whereas clearly Bayern has issues, right? And like I said, I don't know about Barcelona if they have issues, but I mean, this all started with like the Zerbi saying like he's not going to go to Brighton, but but he basically would have multiple opportunities, and we named 4 clubs that would be interested in him, or he would be interested in them.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point about earning the trust of the locker room. But I mean, I feel like it's also a disservice to the guys like Robertson and Gomez who've been around forever. Like there is a big thing to say about making sure that the transition from one head to another head is smooth, because these guys, some of them, especially the newer ones, they came in potentially for Klopp, for this idea that he's built, for this system that he's built. And so for them to have to come into work with a completely different guy that they're looking at, it can be tough to make that change right away. So again, that's why I don't think it's so easy to just say, yeah, find a similar system, similar guy. It's not always that simple. Like you're saying, it's not that simple at all. So I think there's going to be, hopefully there are no cancers that emerge from this, because like cancer, it can just, can come out of nowhere. This is really morbid for Monday. But
I like how you did that. That was nice.
But you can't predict that all the time. So you're hoping that it'll be smooth.
And here's another thing. Yeah, there's no cancers, but there are excess players in positions that may not fit to the next manager system. And that's going to be the big thing, right? Like when we talk about Trent and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't know. New guy might come in and be like, this guy is just not fitting. But here's another thing. I mean, this is like talking out of both sides of our mouth in some ways, but sometimes winning is what prevents cancers from happening. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
When things go south, I mean, how many times have you been on teams where when you're winning, everything is hunky-dory? The moment something goes south, the same people cause the same problems, say the same stupid things, do the same stupid things and stuff like that. So sometimes the winning covers over all that stuff. And more importantly, having a guy like Klopp sometimes covers over all that stuff, because no voice, like all those like little voices that cause those cancers in the locker room, no, they're going to be squashed right away. So they didn't even begin. Whereas, when the cat's away, mice play kind of a thing, where you don't have somebody like that in charge, people start chirping, and that's what causes all these clicks and like issues that Bayern is having, for example.
Yeah, I think the potentially something that I'm excited for is if it is someone like Ruben, being able to speak Spanish, I think would be huge.
You can get rid of Thiago, so he doesn't have to translate anymore.
I mean, it might be a silly thing, but I think being able to get across to players like Nunez, in Spanish might help a little bit more than anything. I know that, at the end of the day, football is football, and it's, the reason we love it, it's such a universal game, and you don't necessarily need to speak a language to play it. But if you can get certain points across without needing a translator, then that, I think that is valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something to that, right? Because otherwise we always talk about being able to speak English is huge. I think for the media
And Ruben speaks really good English. So
does he?
Oh yeah. There was
your freaking research. Man.
Someone had posted a video of him answering a question in the interview a couple of years ago about Ronaldo going back to Sporting, and he was just talking about how, I mean, it's a nice dream, but we don't have the money for it, and that's pretty much it. But he's so. I lost my train of thought.
So he says, Amorim is Portuguese, Nunez speaks Spanish. Are they like generalizing, but it is really close, like almost Italian and Spanish, like Latin based, if you will.
But I thought Ruben spoke Spanish as well, as what I'm saying, is that he speaks Portuguese, Spanish, English.
Oh, but he speaks Spanish as well.
I'm looking over. I'm trying to.
It says being able to, honestly, more than that, being able to understand scouts is probably more important. That will take some time because I know it took me a lot of time to get adjusted to the accent and like understand. I mean, honestly, like in England, that's pretty much. I mean, heck, you know, we watch certain things, and my wife sometimes struggles as an American with English as the first language with like certain accents and stuff. It's like, what the heck did he say and stuff like that. So, so he says Gomez and Robert don't have big egos. I think they'll be more adaptable. Van Dijk and Salah are a little different, in my opinion. I agree to that, where like those two guys kind of like the way they care themselves and like the self-importance and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a lot of people in that squad who look up to Robo. There are probably a lot of people in that squad who look up to Gomez. So when Gomez says, I know about this new guy, it automatically affects 4 or 5 guys who look up to, and that's when issues start, right? When not everybody is sold, you only need 1 or 2 guys not sold, because then they start talking. Sparkus says Trent has the biggest ego. See,
I guess that's a fun question to throw out there for
who has the biggest ego
for the crowd. Yeah, I mean, maybe not. We could do a poll on Facebook and just send it out to all the groups. Like, hey, who do you believe has the biggest ego at the club? 1 vote only.
Okay, what's your vote?
I don't like this. I wasn't ready to answer that.
I'll click later. That's a good one, actually. Who has the biggest ego, do you guys think, in Liverpool right now?
It's so nice to have to choose from players that don't have big ones rather than choosing which of the big egos is the biggest.
Which one is douchier? Yeah. I'm not going to tip my hands.
Weirdly, I'm not going to like this. I don't think people are going to like this. I was going to say Mo. But, I guess I'm not alone.
No, I don't think you're alone, because I was going to say Mo as well.
Okay. So, weirdly, I was thinking Mo and Szoboszlai. Because I think Sobo has a pretty big ego. I think him being the Hungarian poster boy has a lot to do with that, though. But
I mean, no offense to Hungary, but you're Hungarian.
Yeah, but
Hungary.
I know, but you think about like how you were young, you've won 4 titles in the Australian League. You go to Liverpool, like you're also like this handsome guy that everyone's just flocking over.
Not according to Angie,
right?
Has the chin thing. All right.
But I think all that together. But I think Mo. But just like Sir Z was saying, it's not necessarily in a negative way. But I do think he does have the biggest ego.
Gordo is okay with the chin, apparently, because he says he's beautiful enough for me to accept that.
Maybe he's beautiful enough to accept the ego, maybe not the chin.
Oh, okay.
Well, Gordo, please clarify.
But he did say he's beautiful, so so
yeah, I won't disagree with that.
I would probably go with Mo, just because I think Mo realizes what a commodity or how important he is. He does not carry himself. See, like honestly, like if you looked at how people carry themselves, you might think more more like Mo or Van Dijk. Also, I understand what you mean by Szoboszlai. If you look at how they carry themselves, you might go Van Dijk, Szoboszlai, the way they present themselves and they carry themselves. Maybe because they're like bigger dudes or whatever too. But I think Mo knows himself that how valuable he is and what he represents in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we kind of like maybe oversee it over here, but he's like an idol to millions and millions of people, and a lot of people who are Muslim as well, because he is, that's a huge deal when you didn't have somebody that good, like this good and stuff like that. So, and I think that makes him even more special to me, that knowing that he doesn't act like it. He doesn't walk smug and stuff like that. But I would think he would have the biggest ego and expect someone's system to cater more to him and use him. And maybe it's easier for Van Dijk to say, yeah, I'm just going to be center back, whatever the fuck the system is. 3 or back here or 4 back here. Yeah?
just don't play me as high of a line anymore, because I'm a little bit older. So just set me back just a tad.
Yeah. None of the players are arrogant. That's the difference, says Sir Z. See, I always feel that there is a very, very fine line And I think as fans, we do not see that line at all.
Here's the line. Do you like this guy? Yes. Do you like this guy? No. Arrogant. That's the line. That really is the line. Because
yeah, I think we kind of see that line as fans
Yeah.
ourselves, right? Because somebody is like so cocky that, you know, is either really annoying or you really like him. Like a lot of players like find I mean, out of other teams, fans probably they might you can still respect, I think, the player's skill,
Mhm.
but find them very
You talk to anyone about Andy Robertson
yeah,
outside of Liverpool, they hate him. They think
Yeah.
he's an absolute shithouse. They don't like him at all. But we absolutely love him. We adore him, right? And that's
yeah.
and I mean, it just happened to be he's because he's a Liverpool player. United, right? You have fans. Maybe they're not so big on Bruno all the time, but they're still going to go to bat for him because he is their captain. Ultimately, you know, as sad as that may be, but you'll still have that from that fan base because at the end of the day, that is their captain, and they do value him a lot more than anyone else would.
Players like Sancho are arrogant. Yeah, that's a different kind of arrogance, right? And that kind of like when you're that young, it's like Reina. I blame the parents. But yeah, like it's kind of like you know, that's kind of like a young arrogance of everybody thought I was the shits, and you still think you're the shits. And welcome to the big clubs. You're just one of the guys now, not the shits, kind of a thing. And some players have a tough time adjusting to that. Like I think Sabostai is a guy that has to kind of adjust to that by coming, because I think when you are the guy on your team, and I mean when you're a captain of your national team at that age, you have to be the guy, right? But so like to come over, and honestly I saw him in the game against Turkey, and he does make a good captain. There was some testiness going on, and he was kind of like calming things down and stuff like that, like pulling people where they should be and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, we didn't even get to the Arsenal City game. Kind of like went, as always, as we do in morning shows, kind of went off track, off script over
because there's nothing to talk about from that game. It was boring as shit.
God, it was boring as shit.
And honestly, Erling Haaland, I don't want this taken weirdly. He is a fantastic finisher of the ball. He's a fantastic striker, but he is honestly sometimes worthless if there isn't good build-up from City. He does not provide anything else. And so I do at least appreciate that even if Nunez isn't producing, he has some sort of a stamp on a game. Haaland does not. He goes invisible.
Honestly, looking at it yesterday, and I said it in the he says that was a boring game. What it's I listened to this too, but I can't remember exactly what he said.
He said he was a League Two player.
Yeah. I mean,
that's harsh.
The dude is like ridiculous in finishing, and he needs that space and stuff like that. But yeah, when you really crowd, honestly, the biggest thing, and I said this on Discord yesterday, is Kevin De Bruyne not being himself. I thought was a difference in that game. There were so many times where he looked up and had no one on him with the ball, and usually those are like oh shit moments, kind of like Trent. You know, like if he gets the ball on the right side and looking in, you know, like he's about to whip that cross in, you're like, you know, if you're an attack, because as a Liverpool fan, we're like, holy cow, something's gonna happen. And it's the same thing when De Bruyne gets it, it's more like, oh shit, kind of an ordeal. But yesterday he had so many of those opportunities, and they were all like not good crosses. Or are you shocked that Arsenal played so defensively? We're definitely gonna have to talk about this on the panel show on Wednesday. But are you shocked that they came out more than content with a draw? We're like, we just don't want to lose.
No, I'm not, because I think credit to Arsenal, they have taken 4 points off City and Liverpool this year with that draw. Right? They beat both teams at home. They drew away both times. So I think for them, having 4.8 points there between those two, I think that was enough for them. You know, it's just you kind of do what you have to do sometimes to win a title, to stay in the race. And I think Arteta realized that. I don't think he was confident in their ability to play City against City in their usual game at the Etihad. And so I think that was the big thing, is that he just wanted to sort of neutralize the entire game. So, you know, but it is fun to watch him play with 4 center backs and 2 DMs, and all we need was Endo and McAllister to just completely destroy all of City. But it's, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like was shocked that they were so freaking defensive. Like it literally looked like Sheffield United or Burnley at times, the way they
Mhm.
were just like aimlessly kicking it out and stuff like that. They didn't want to mess with anything. Walker was really missed by City as a so I don't know. I mean, it was one brutal game to watch. And like I say, as a neutral, you probably had more fun watching Liverpool Brighton, where it was a lot more open, a lot more passing and stuff like that, as opposed to the other one. And I think that's mainly, honestly, the blame on that one has to go to Arsenal, who went there for the draw and not the win.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of like a final feel to it, where you watch these cup finals, they're always shit because teams are playing not to lose. I think nobody wanted to lose that game. At the end of the day, everybody was okay with a draw at the least, but City definitely wanted to win more. But I'm sure we'll talk a bit about that on tonight's podcast as well. 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern. You know, like now that we talk more about it, I remember talking about this Dingus Day water festivities last year too. So Monday is your day off. Is it still off? Are you still off?
Yeah.
I know you had okay. So like, what do you have like a table lined up with like spray bottles? Gonna go to
No.
like let's celebrate Dingus Day or
the only spray bottle that's gonna be used is the barber's spray bottle on my hair. It's grooming day.
So it's grooming day for you.
Yes, for me.
Okay. Okay, it's that time of month. Not then that's that, but you know what I mean. When we rotate, when we rotate. Oh,
Monday.
that's probably. Yeah, I don't know.
It's not
for the ref.
It's not an advantage per se, as much as it is like, hey, it's just an away game, though. You know, it's just an away game against the title contender, and so that's how I'm viewing it. Because sometimes it felt like you heard Arsenal fans throughout the game more than you did the City fans anyway. So it didn't really feel it's not a great, it wasn't a great home atmosphere for them, but you know, there wasn't much to celebrate, I guess, either. So
yeah, because one thing that gets overlooked, I think, is not only the fans and the noise and stuff like that. It's sometimes just being in a foreign pitch makes a huge difference. I mean, it's odd, and I realize some of these, I mean, not some, most of these pitches are like perfect, like a freaking rug, but still there's a familiarity when you play on the same field over and over and over again. I mean, in our day, we just know where the bumps are. In this, it's more the familiarity than anything else, you know, because the width and everything like that, you know, even if it's small, it still like differs. So I think being adjusted to that, because I don't know if it's the angle, but the City pitch looks a lot wider to me.
Could be the angle, because sometimes like the Everton camera at Goodison looks weird too. So I don't know what it is exactly, but I think it is just the camera angle, really.
Because I know there's like different ratios too, but okay, well, let's wrap it up. And like I say, we'll be on tonight. Thanks for all those commenting, liking, hit all those buttons except the thumb down there. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as I always say, don't make us do clickbait stuff, because I saw so much of it with the manager stuff. Is disgusting. So grab a friend by the ear and say, go follow these guys. Otherwise, they're going to start doing clickbait stuff.
Mbappe's coming.
Mbappe's hashtag announce Mbappe. Okay. Have a great Monday. Enjoy the haircuts. Happy Dingus Day to all.
Happy
your
Dingus
water
Day.
bottles. I'm going to go pour some water over Angie over here shortly. So do it to your spouses. Let's see how that goes. We'll see you guys tonight at 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern. Take care.